Hi, I mentioned last night that I was going to talk about why some people might feel stuck, not able to move forward in their lives, and just feel a bit just like stuck is basically the issue here, and that nothing's going to work for them. If I take action, well, it'll just fail. What's the point? Um, I've tried things in the past and it hasn't worked, so it's just not going to work again. So people don't do anything; they just stay where they are and decide, like it's an element of fatalism almost, that I just might as well not do anything. This is my lot, and there is a term for this, which, and I know I was talking about labels the other evening. It's not so much a label, but it's described as learned helplessness. And it can be rooted in childhood. It's something that can um, come from previous experience from childhood or an environment, some trauma, unpleasant experience, bullying, neglect, emotional neglect. There's a whole raft of possibilities that can cause it, because what it can stem from is, certainly if it stems from childhood or sort of, older childhood, a feeling of, well, I'm in this situation, but there's nothing that I can do about it, because being a child, and there's that helplessness. The child wants to change the situation, but they can't, and they don't know how to do that. And so that's where the helplessness comes into it. And it can be very prevalent in children if they're in a domestic abuse situation, or they're experiencing trauma, whatever form that takes, or some negative, unpleasant, or a series of experiences where they can't change it and there's nothing that they can do. So there's that helplessness sets in, and that can be triggered later on in life when other issues arise, and then there's a sense of, well, like, there's nothing that I can do. What's the point? And it's buried in the subconscious. In fact, it's just that learned experience from the past. And I think a lot of people actually have this, and it doesn't necessarily just apply to addiction, but it can, when people are trying to change or feel they should change, but they don't really know or think what's the point of it. I mean, from personal experience, I know, for instance, and I was only thinking about this the other day, that when I was in school, which was many moons ago, and I was studying, I was doing German. German was the subject I was doing, and I quite liked it. And we used to regularly get like essays to do. Every other week we'd get an essay to do, and we'd have the pictures, and we'd be given words and expressions and phrases. And our job was to put together an essay from the pictures. And I used to quite like doing this because it was like vaguely different from doing like grammar and stuff. But every time I did, and I used to spend time, I used to enjoy it. When it came to getting it back from the teacher, all she did was criticise, and it was covered in red marks. I could have counted on one hand the number of times that she said it was good. It was because I didn't sort of follow exactly what I was supposed to be doing. There was no appreciation for a bit of creativity, and after a while I remember feeling just so depleted and just really helpless. I thought, no matter what I'm doing here, she's just going to criticize it, and this was in front of everybody. So I mean, I think a lot of people experience this in school, and she was known for it anyway. She used to pick on people, so I was obviously her choice that year. But it really depleted me. And there was a sense of, well, there's absolutely no matter what I do, my best efforts, it's still not good enough. So whilst it wasn't traumatic, it's a perfect example of how that learned helplessness can set in. And I definitely think it had an impact on me for a number of years, that sense. Because, you trust teachers, you look up to them, but if they constantly knock back and criticise your efforts, and then they know that you've made an effort, at least I used to do the homework, not to appreciate that is it can't possibly encourage you to do well, or to be confident in that subject. So as I say, it's just an example of that learned helplessness, and it can deplete you, it can knock your confidence and knock your self-esteem, and that can apply to a lot of things, to say, not just addiction, and it can surface then later on in life. You can be triggered by things that might remind you of things from the past and feel, well, what's the point? But again, those things are buried in your subconscious, and you might not necessarily be aware of them, but you might wonder, well, why am I not actually doing anything? I know I can, and I know I can make an effort, but what's the point? It'll never work out. So that sort of feeling, the reminder, that pattern of behaviour can come back. And it can be quite destructive. It can really stop you in your tracks. It can really stop you from growing and from moving forward and from living your true potential, because it knocks your confidence. I mean, everybody has potential to expand and to grow, and these experiences can really stifle that, and especially if you've had any sort of bad experience of trauma or anything worse, like neglect, emotional neglect. Well, it's all trauma. But not everybody is affected in the same way, but some people are, and maybe you resonate with this, and it might explain a little bit why you haven't felt able to do anything or to move forward and to make change in your life when you know that it's something that you need to do. So how do you get out of it? It's a question of reframing those beliefs. There will be beliefs in your subconscious that that come from sort of low self-esteem or lack of confidence, that somewhere you're not good enough or it won't work out. And it's, as I say, it's a question of reframing those beliefs, because there will be plenty in your life, tons, gazillions of examples of where you will have achieved things, you will have made changes, but for some reason it can apply just in certain areas of your life. Like somebody could be very successful in one area and then in another area for some reason get totally blocked. Like in business area, maybe be really productive and successful, if you like, whatever. And then in your personal life, relationships maybe really just completely not work out and always hit a roadblock and not feel that it can do anything. So it can affect just a particular area of your life, and that's why it's quite multifactorial. But it is about reframing beliefs, reframing negative beliefs, feelings of negativity, that you're not worth it, that, oh, well, I'm not good enough, why me, I'm different, I'm just not one of those that's successful or can do that. And there will be plenty of examples, as I just said, to reframe those beliefs and show that there will be plenty in your life that you will have achieved. Tons. Everybody has. Everybody will have achieved lots of things. They just sort of gloss over it and think, oh, well, that's nothing. Whereas somebody else might think, well, actually, that's amazing what you've achieved. That's brilliant. And everybody's different. Everybody sees things differently. And everybody, it appeals to people differently. But it begins with that. It begins with reframing those beliefs and growing. And that sounds like a long process. It's not. It's really not. I've done sessions with people and it will come up maybe in a regression, not necessarily a regression, but memories from the past. And it's a question of reframing those. And then listening to a recording, perhaps, not always necessary, but reframing the beliefs in a recording and listening to that recording quite regularly. And it's really, really effective. And it can, because the thoughts and the words will sink in, the new words, the new beliefs will sink into your brain, basically rewiring it and help you feel so much better. And that allows you to move forward. So that's the essence of this video. It's why you might feel stuck is that it can be that learned helplessness, and that can absolutely 100% be changed and be overcome by reframing beliefs and bringing in more positivity and just hope, basically, and knowing that you can grow and move forward and expand and overcome things in your life. Everybody can. Everybody has the potential for it. You just have to come to it with the right mindset of, okay, I'm looking to change here and I can do this. So I hope that's been helpful, shed a little bit of light on maybe some issues you might be thinking, why am I stuck? Why do I feel like this? And if you're watching this, if you've got any issue that you'd like me to deal with, please feel free, leave a message in the comments, and I'll very happily do a video and on any issue that you'd like me to talk about, and take any questions from you if you have any. So have a great evening. Bye for now.